Hello friends, subscribers and new viewers of this channel, and welcome to FreeCAD and Robotics Tutorials. In this tutorial, we are going to explain how to implement the assembly shown over here. This assembly represents a simple model of a robotic manipulator with 3 degrees of freedom. This assembly consists of several parts. Here's the first part. It's the base that's firmly attached to the ground. Then the second part is this link over here that can rotate around the z-axis. The third part is another link that can rotate around the main joint axis of the first link. This is actually the second link, and the third part is actually the third link of the robotic system that can rotate around this axis. In total, this manipulator has 1, 2, and 3 degrees of freedom. In this video tutorial, we are going to explain how to develop everything from scratch. That is, we will start from zero, then first we will model the base, then the first link, then the second link, third link, and then we will explain how to create a functional assembly that you can see over here. In the next video tutorial, we are going to explain how to import this model in the Robot Operating System version 2 and how to visualize and control this model in RViz ROS2. Okay, let's start. In this video tutorial, we assume that you know very little or almost nothing about FreeCAD, and consequently, we will thoroughly explain every step we are performing. We are using FreeCAD 1.0. You can also use other versions of CAD, however, the suggestion is to use the versions that are at least FreeCAD 1 point something. That is, the versions whose number is larger than 1 point something. Okay, so click over here to create a new file. Double click here and let's call the file as base. And click here, then click on base and click over here to create the body. And call the body as base. And this will be the file that will contain the base. Okay, so let's start with designing the base. To design the base, click on base and then click here to create the sketch. Then select the sketch plane. Let's go with the XY plane. And then turn on the grid by clicking here and expand this button and make sure Snap to Grid is selected. The base is actually a rectangle whose sides are 800 by 800. So let's create such a rectangle. To do that, click here, and over here, let's zoom out. Note that you can zoom in or zoom out by using the middle or the roller mouse button, simply rolling it forward or backward, and you can pan the view by pressing and holding the middle mouse button and by moving it left or right. Okay, so let's go somewhere here. Let's go to -400 and let's go, for example, to 400. So that's basically this side over here, and let's click here and then let's put all the dimensions how they should be. Let's go down a little bit and here it is. Okay, then do the right click. Next, let's constrain this rectangle. Since we can see that we have 4 degrees of freedom, click here, then click here, and click on Constrain Horizontal Distance, and let's go with 800, then click here, and constrain the vertical distance, and go with 800, and now we still need to constrain the position of this rectangle, since you can see that you can move it over here. To do that, click on this point over here, then on this point, then click here, and click on Constrain Horizontal Distance, and let's go with 400, and let's repeat this, click here, and let's constrain the vertical distance, and let's go with 400. And now our rectangle is centered. Next, let's create fillets over here. That's super easy. To do that, click over here, then click on this side, and fillet is created. And repeat this for all other 3 corners. So click here, click here, and click here, Then do the right click, and let's constrain these radius. So click here, then press and hold Control and keep Control pressed. Click here and click here. That is 4 clicks while keeping Control pressed. Then click here and click on Constraint Radius, and let's go, for example, with 120. And here it is. Now we have created the first part of our base. Click on Close and let's extrude that part. So zoom out to see the base, then click here on the base, click on this pad to extrude, and let's, for example, extrude this for, let's see. I mean, it's your own choice what you would like to do. I would go with, for example, with 80 millimeters here. Good. You can optionally create holes over here for bolts or something similar. However, since this is not a design that will be actually implemented and manufactured, and in the interest of not creating this video tutorial that will last for like 10 hours, I'll skip some steps. However, you might consider improving this design. Okay, next we need to add the top on this plate. So to do that, simply click on base, then click on the sketch, click here, and close the sketch. Now I would like to map this sketch to this top face. So click on the top face, click here, click on Attach Sketch, and from the drop-down menu, select this sketch. This is the newly created sketch. Click on OK, and now if I double-click on the sketch, I map the sketch to this top face. Turn on the grid, make sure the snap is selected, and let's construct a circle. To do that, simply click here, and let's constrain the diameter of this circle to be 400. Here it is. Good. Do the right click, close, and here it is. Next, let's extrude this circle. Click on the circle, or you can click on the sketch. Click here, and then again, let's go with 80, and here we are. This is now our base. Let's save this by clicking File, Save, and let's save the base. Here I have a new folder, Robot, and I'm going to save it over here. Note that you need to save all the files for the assembly in the same folder. Good. Let's create a new file for the first link. To do that, simply click here, double click here, and let's call this file as first link. Here it is. Then let's click here. We created a body. Let's call it as first link. Here we are. And let's create the sketch. To create the sketch, simply click over here. And let's select this plane over here. And let's turn on the grid. First of all, we need to create a circle whose diameter is 400. That diameter should match the diameter of the circle on the top of the base. So click here, and let's go with the diameter of 400 millimeters. And that's it. Do the right click. Now we have constrained this. Click on Close. Let's zoom out. And again, let me repeat one more thing. To zoom in or zoom out in this 3D view, you can use the middle roller mouse button by simply rolling it forward or backward. To pan the view, press and hold the middle mouse button and move left or right. Okay, so let's extrude this by clicking here, and then let's go, for example, with 100. And now we have extruded this part. Next, we need to map a sketch to this top face. So let's learn how to do that. Click over here, select any plane, for example, this plane, it really doesn't matter. Close the plane, and then let's map this plane to this top, or better to the top of the sketch. Click here, then click on Attach Sketch. Oops, I need to repeat. Click here, then click over here, Attach Sketch. From the list, select the sketch you just created, click OK again. And now if you double click on the sketch, we now live inside of the plane of this top face. Turn on the grid and let's construct two rectangles. Click on the rectangle and construct an arbitrary rectangle over here. Later on we are going to adjust its dimensions. Okay, so let's click over here and let's adjust the dimensions. First of all, I would like this length to be 50. So click here, then click here, constrain horizontal distance and go with 50. Okay, now I would like the length of this rectangle to be 200. We will see will this thing work. So click here on this side, click it, then go here, constrain vertical distance, and let's go with 200. Or maybe we should go with more. I think 200 is too little. Let's see. Let's go with little bit more. Let's, for example, repeat this or double click here, and let's see what would be the optional or the best option. How about 200? So if I place it over here, it's going to look okay, right? Yes, so yes, it's going to look fine. Okay, now we need to precisely position these points. So how to do that? Well, first of all, where we would like to place this point, that's the main thing. If I now move it somewhere over here, you'll see that this looks okay. Consequently, let me now just do one more thing to see that we are not creating an error. Okay, we will see at the end. So let's start with constraining. So you can see over here the coordinates of the point. So if I click here, this is minus 100. So let's constrain this position. So click here, click on the center point, and then click here and constrain the horizontal distance, and let's go with 100. Let's do the same thing for the vertical distance. Click here, and then let's go with half of the length of or the height of the rectangle. Let's go with 125, and let's see, is this thing nicely positioned? It is. Very good. We can simply mirror this rectangle to create a symmetric rectangle. However, since this is an intro tutorial, let's repeat this procedure in order to practice FreeCAD. So let's construct an arbitrary rectangle and let's repeat this. Click here to exit. Let's click here, then let's go with 50 over here, then over here click, then click here, and let's go with 250, and then let's constrain the points. Click here, then click here, constrain horizontal distance, this should be 100, and let's do that for the height. Click here, and then click here, and this should be 125, and here we are. Now everything is constrained. You can close this sketch, and now let's extrude. To extrude, simply select sketch, click here, and let's extrude this for, let's go with 220 millimeters. So something like this. Good. Okay, here we are. Beautiful. This looks truly, truly amazing. So let's add fillets over here. So click here, then press Control and keep Control and click here, then here, and then let's click on this final edge. So let me now do this and click here, and then you just need to create a fillet. Click here and select the radius of the fillets, and let's see what will work. Let's see, if I now increase the fillet radius, you can see how nicely the fillets are being created, and let's see how far should we go. Let's go, for example, with something that looks like this. Okay, not bad. Let's go with 120. Beautiful. And let's click on OK, and here we are. We are almost there. Next, over here, we need to create the rod or the supporting rod, and let's learn how to do that. To do that, click here. And what we need to do is to create a hole over here as well as over here. Or better to say, not holes, I need to correct myself. We need to actually create a cylinder and then extrude it from here to here such that we can have a nice rod. To do that, click here and then click here and select any plane for the sketch, close, and let's map the sketch to this side. Click on the side, click here, click on Attach Sketch, expand this drop-down menu and select the second sketch you created, click on OK, double click on a sketch, and here we are. Let's turn the grid on, let's see where the coordinate system is, it's here, and let's create a circle. The circle diameter should be 50. So let's do that, click here, and you see that we are snapped to this line. So let's select somewhere, for example, here. Later on we will constrain it. And let's go with the diameter of 50. Let's see, is this too small diameter? Maybe too small. Let's try to improve this or to increase and to see what will work. So double click here and let's go with 100. Is 100 better? Yeah, 100 might be better. Yeah, 100 might be fine. Consequently, the diameter should be 100 and the radius should be 50. Good. Okay, now that we have this part, let's close this. Or before you close, make sure that you constrain this line or this position. So click here and then, no, you shouldn't do this. Let me now do it again. Click on close, then open the sketch. Then let's click here and then let's click on the another line. Let's click, for example, the base over here. Let's repeat here, here, and let's constrain this vertical distance. Let's see what is the option. Is 230 okay? Let's see. It is. It is. We can maybe go with a little bit more. How about 240? Let's see. Okay, let's see. Yeah, 240 is good. Okay, click on close and here we are. Now go back to the sketch and let's see what is the additional degree of freedom we have. You see here we have one additional degree of freedom and you can see what's happening over here. So this is not fully constrained. And let's constrain this. So click here and then click here and then click here and constrain horizontal distance and let's go with 0 such that everything is nicely centered. Beautiful. Click on close and here we are. Now let's extrude this cylinder or this circle. Simply click on this sketch, and before we do that, let's again go to our pad on this sketch and let's see what we are talking about here. Let me close this. Actually, I should go to this pad and let's see what are the distances. We basically need to extrude this cylinder for 50 plus 100, that's 150, plus 100, 250, plus 50, that's 300. Okay, so let's do that and let's extrude. Fine, we are here, click on the pad, and over here, let's reverse and let's go with 300 and let's see what will happen. And here we are. Beautiful. This looks truly, truly amazing. And this will be the support for the first link. Good. Now, let's create actually the support for the second link, since this is the thing. Okay, good. Let's now save this by clicking File, Save, and click over here to save. And we need to create the first link. We need to create the second link. To create the second link, we need to do the following. So click here, and then let's call this file as the second link. Then click here to create the body. Let's call the body as the second link. And let's see what is the second link. Second link is actually a prismatic element. To create the second link, let's now save, File, Save, save it in the same folder, and let's create the first sketch, select the XY plane, turn on the grid, and let's see what should be the width and length of this link. Click on close. You can see that the sketch is still created. Go back to the first link, go here and find the sketch over here, double click, and let's see what is the width of the element. The width of the element obviously has to be smaller than 200, right? So we can, for example, go with 150. That can be the width of the element, and let's see the height. The height is another important thing to keep in mind. So the height should be basically smaller, not the height. The width is the most important, right? However, the height really doesn't matter, since we just need to make sure that the element can fit over here like this. Okay, so let's go back to our second link and click here on the sketch, open the sketch, make sure that the grid is on, make sure that snap to grid is on, and let's create a rectangle. The rectangle width should be 150. So let's create a rectangle, zoom out, and let's find a point over here, minus 75. So it's somewhere here. Let's zoom in. Here is the 75. And what should be the height? The height, let the height be, for example, 120 or something like that. So we will pick the point minus 75, 60, and let's now find the corresponding point. So we need to go to 75. This has to be 150. So somewhere approximately here, and the other side should be approximately 120. So somehow like this. Later on we will adjust these dimensions. Okay, do the right click, click here, click here. Let's constrain the horizontal distance. This should be 150. Then this length should be 120. So let's do that, and let's put 120. Now let's position everything nicely. Click here, then click here. Constrain horizontal distance. Let's go with 75 here, and click here, and click here, and constrain vertical distance, and let's go with 60. And now everything is constrained. Good. Let's close this, and here is our base. Let's extrude this. To extrude, click on sketch, click here, and let's see how far can we extrude. What about 90? If I click on 90, it's not good, right? 90 is too small. So double click here. You should basically go with something that's maybe 800. Let's see what is 800. 800 is not bad, right? However, I will push a little bit more, maybe 900. So let's do 900. And here it is. Good. Now on top of this cylinder, on top of this prismatic element, we need to add the supporting rod and the structure should look very similar to the structure of the first link. That is, on top we should have something that looks like this, such that we can add the third link. However, don't forget to add the hole. Namely, over here, we need to add the hole whose diameter corresponds to the diameter of this rod over here. And let's see what is the diameter. Not here, not this sketch. If you click here, you should see not even this one. So let's see where is the sketch for the diameter is the last one. And so the diameter should be 100. Perfect. So let's close this. Let's go to the second link. Open the second link. Let's create a sketch. Choose any plane and map the sketch to this side. Click on close. Select this side. Click here and attach sketch. And click on this sketch. Click on OK. And now if you double click on sketch, here we are. Over here, turn on the grid, and we need to create a circle. So click here, make sure that you're here. Let's see where we are. For example, over here. And then let's select the diameter to be 100, right? And here it is. Good. Okay, so now let's move this diameter or this circle a little bit up to the right click. And now let's move it a little bit up. To do that, you simply need to click here and let's move it a little bit up. For example, over here. Good. Okay, now let's constrain this and see what should be this distance. To do that, click on close, go back to the first link, open it up, and let's see over here. So let's measure this distance over here. To measure the distance, click here, click on this side. Let's see, this side is approximately the length from here to here. So click here and then this should be active, and you should see this is 100. Okay, so the circle center should be at least, for example, such that we still have some space between this first link and the second link. Okay, so let's think about it. So if this is basically the center of this circle is approximately 150, and this is minus 50, so, and here we can go, for example, 100. Okay, close this, and let's go to the second link, activate the sketch, and we can do the following. Click here, then click here, and constrain vertical distance, and let's go with 100, and this should work, right? This should work perfectly, since this distance is much smaller than 100. Click on close, and here we are. Perfect. Now, what I don't like about this design is that I don't have so much space between this hole and this element, and let's fix that. To fix that, I'm going to simply go back here, and I'm going to increase this height. To increase this height, double click here, and let's go with, for example, 160. And then we need to fix this side over here, and let's go with 80 over here, and now we are good. Click on close, and now you can see there is more space. Good. Let's continue. Next, let's do the following. We need to create a hole. To create a hole, simply click here, and then find this option, hole, and let's create the hole. So what should be the diameter of the hole? It should be 100. Okay, and then you can see now the hole is not complete, so double click on the hole, and let's now increase the hole depth. Here you can specify any value, however, you know already that the rectangle is 150, so 150 should do the job, and here we are. We have just created our hole. Next, we need to create on top of this element 2 rectangles, extrude, and we need to create a rod. Not a big deal. Click here, select any plane, click on OK, then click on close and map this plane to this top surface. Select this surface, then click here and click on attach sketch. From the drop down menu, select the second sketch. Here it is. OK, so double click here and turn on the grid, and let's create 2 rectangles. Okay, not a big deal. So what are the rectangles? Let's click here. Let's make sure that we select this point. Now, here you have an issue. You can actually not snap so easily to this point, and let me show you how to do that. Do the right click, then click here, select this point. In this way, you have created external geometry feature and attached it to this sketch. Do it over here also. Then do it also over here, and do it over here. And now we have the reference points. Do the right click, and we can start with modeling. Now the rectangles will be super easy. You can see how nicely we snap here. So let's do something like this, and let's do, for example, this thing. Right. Okay, maybe, yeah, this will do the job. Maybe 30. 30 is not bad. Okay, so this is the first rectangle. Let's do the second rectangle. Let's do the length approximately 30, and we are going to fix this. And let's constrain the dimensions. Click here, and then click here, and constrain vertical distance 160. Then click here, constrain horizontal distance, and here go with 30. Then over here, click, repeat. Vertical distance is 160. Horizontal distance is 30 over here, and now we need to constrain the dimensions or the positions of these 2 rectangles. Click here, and then go with horizontal distance. Click on OK, then click here, click constrain vertical distance, go with this distance, then click here, and Then let's, however, I had an issue over here, so let me repeat this. Let me see what is the issue and what are the things that are fully, so this was apparently fully constrained. So you don't need to do so many things. However, you can still follow the procedure and constrain everything. So click on close, and now let's extrude this part over here. To extrude this part, you simply click here, and let's start with extrusion. Let's see how far to go. Let's, for example, go with, I don't know, 150 and see how it looks. Is 150 okay? Not too bad. Let's go with 200. So double click here, and let's go with 200, and here we are. Good. Okay. Next, let's add a rod over here. To add the rod, we need to do several things. Click here, create a sketch, select any plane, click on OK, close the sketch, then do the following. Attach sketch to this side, click on this side, then click here, attach sketch. From the drop-down menu, select the third sketch, click here, OK, then double click on the sketch, and here we are. Over here, we need to add a circle. To add the circle, turn on the grid, then let's again add some external geometry points. Click here, find this point over here and this point over here, do the right click, and let's create a circle. Click here. You can see that we're snapping to this line over here, and let's go with the radius or the diameter of, for example, 60. Okay, so here it is. Beautiful. Let's constrain the dimensions of this, or actually the position of this circle. So click here, and then let's click here and do constrain vertical distance. So now this is basically 53. We can go maybe with 60 from this edge, and here it is. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Next, let's close this, and here's the circle. Next, we need to extrude this circle. However, let's see how far we need to extrude it. Go here on a pad and double click. No, don't do that. I didn't want that. So click on pad and click on the corresponding sketch, and let's see. So we need to extrude this for 150 millimeters. Good. So click here on the sketch, click here, then let's do reverse and let's do 150. And here we are. Beautiful. Very good. Let's save the second link by clicking here and Ctrl S, and now we saved. Next, we need to create the third link. Okay, to create the third link, click here, double click here, call the third link as third link, Ctrl S to save the file, here it is, then click here to create the body, and let's create the sketch. Let's select this plane over here and add the grid, close this sketch, and let's go back to the second link and see what are the dimensions. Okay, so let's go back to this sketch on top, not this one actually. You need to go to this sketch and let's see what are the dimensions. So the complete dimension, or from here to here, or the length, is 150. So here we have 30 and here we have 30, which means that from here to here we have 90. So let's go with 80 for the width, and for the height of the link, let's go, for example, 180. So let's write these numbers: 80 for the width and 180 for the height. Good. So let's do that. Okay, close this, go to the third link and click on sketch, and let's do that. Click on here and let's see. So we need to go from, let's find the points, 90 here on this axis, so somehow like this. Yeah, here's the point, and let's now approximately sketch this. So let's go with 180, and here you have 80, right? That should be it. Okay, let's now constrain these dimensions. Click here, click here, click here, 80. Let's go here, here, and let's do 180, and let's constrain the points. Click here, then click here. Horizontal distance should be 40, and click here, and the vertical distance should be 90. Here we are. Click on close, and that's it. Let's extrude this. Click here, extrude, and how far to go? Let's go with, for example, 700, and here we are. Or let's do less. I'm going to do less a little bit since I will have a cone on top. Let's go with 600, for example. Here it is. Here's the second link. Not too bad. Good. Next, we need to create a hole over here. Okay. To create a hole, save this element, go back to the second element, and let's remember what is the hole diameter over here. It's 60. Or actually, the rod diameter is 60. So let's create the 60 over here. Click over here on this body, and let's create a new sketch. Select any plane, click on OK, click on Close. Now map that plane to this plane, click here. Then what you need to do here, you need to click here, attach sketch, find the sketch, click on OK, OK, and double click on the sketch. And turn on the grid. Let's create a circle over here whose diameter is 60. So let's position, for example, circle somewhere here. Later on we will adjust this, and let's put 60 over here, and here it is. Beautiful. And let's constrain the vertical distance from here to here. Let's go with, for example, let's do something like 100. 100 should be fine, right? Okay. Let's double check that this 100 is okay. Click on close, go back to the second link, and let's analyze and see what's the distance from the center of this rod to this point over here. Okay, so maybe this plane is not the best plane to look at that. However, we can still see something over here. Now, if you click on this side and if you click on this measurement tool, you can see that this is 200. So if this is 60, from here to here, and approximately here you have, this is probably maybe 100 over here. This point is middle 100, so we are all good. Click on close, let's not change anything, and that's it. So let's make sure that 100 is fine. It is. Click on close, and let's create a hole. To create a hole, click on this circle, and then simply create the hole. And let's see what should be the hole diameter. The hole diameter should be 60, and you see that it's not complete, so double click on the hole, and let's go with the depth of, I think 80 is the thing. Let's see. Yes, 80 is enough. And finally, we're almost there. Let's save this, and on top of this link I'm going to add a cone. So how to construct the cone? Not a big deal. To construct a cone, click here, and you have several options. You have the additive cone option. However, before you do that, make sure that you select this top surface, then repeat that. Click on here and click on additive cone. And here now you are basically in this menu, and select again this surface that is the top, and you can see this small cone over here. Okay, so let's start playing with this cone. First of all, the first radius should be 0, and the second radius should be larger. So let's increase this as much as we can, for example, to this dimension. What should be the radius here? Let's see. Let's go as much as we can, 40. Okay, so this is the radius of the cone, and the cone is not properly oriented, right? So, and you just see the bottom of the cone, I think. So let's see if we increase the height of the cone. Let's see what is happening. Okay, now you can see how the cone is being formed. Here it is. Okay, now we need to do several things. We actually need to rotate this cone. We need to do a bunch of things. Okay, so if you scroll down, Here you have offset. So let's rotate. We need to rotate this cone around the x-axis. So if I start rotating this cone around the, no, this is z-axis. Let's not do this. If I start rotating this cone around the x-axis, you can see what's happening. And now here I need to put 180. Okay, and if I do that, I don't see my cone. Well, the cone is inside. So double click on the cone and you need to put an offset to this cone. So scroll down and let's put the offset in the z direction, and here it is. If you now click on this slider, you can see how the cone is being moved in the z direction, and the movement should be the height. And then let's go with the height of, for example, 150 here, and then over here in the offset, for the offset should be also 150. Click on OK and enter, and here's our cone. Looks beautiful. Okay, and finally let's assemble everything together. Save this part over here. Okay, and let's continue. Okay, now we need to create the assembly. To create the assembly, click here to create a new file, then click here and click on assembly. And let's call this assembly, or the file, as assembly. Okay, then what we need to do here is to basically adjust this assembly. And to create the assembly, click on the assembly, click here to create the assembly, and click here to insert the components. After you click on this button, you'll see all the parts, and if you click on the base, you'll see this menu. This means that you need to save the assembly as a file. Click on save, and here let's see what happened. The base is added to the assembly. However, you got this message. Do you want to ground the first inserted part automatically? Yes, do that, since you always need to ground or to fix the first part. Okay, so then click on the first link and you see how the first link appears, and then you can freely move the first link simply like this, place it here, then click on the second link, move it somewhere over here, and click on the third link, here it is, and move it somewhere here. Okay, we're all set. However, we didn't add what? Inserted, insert. So everything is there. And click on OK. Now, before we actually create an assembly, let's adjust the colors. So go back to the base, click here, do the right click, click on Appearance, click here and go, for example, with a red color or the color you like. Click close, close again. Now let's do the same thing for the first link. Right click, Appearance. Let's click here. Let's go with, for example, some color that looks like this. Click on close. Let's repeat this for two other links. Second link, Appearance. Click here, and let's go with this color. And finally close, close, and let's do with the third assembly. Click here on the body, click here, Appearance, here, and then let's go with the yellow color. Click OK, close, close, and then if you click on assembly, you can see how the colors are nicely being changed. You can freely move these elements since they are still not being attached to each other. Okay, so let's start adding joints. First of all, I need to add a revolute or rotational joint between the base and the first link. To do that, click on this outer circle of this top cylinder and then press and hold Control and click over here. That is, click on this outer circle of the first link, and then find this option, Create Revolute, and let's keep the default settings. OK, and now magic happened. We have just created a revolute joint over here. Beautiful. And now the first link can rotate with respect to the base. Let's repeat that for the second link. So for the second link, you need to do the following. First of all, move this link here. Then select this outer face of the cylinder, press and hold Control, then find and select this inner cylinder of the second link, and then again you need to do the following. You need to create a revolute joint, and you can see how nicely things are being positioned. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, now click on OK, and we need to do the same thing for the third one. For the third one, again, rotate this, select this, press and hold Control, zoom in here, select this surface, and then again, click here, and everything is now assembled. Here it is. Here is our manipulator. You can move the first joint, the second joint, and then you can move the third joint, and then you have all 3 degrees of freedom. Okay, that's all for today. I hope that you like this video. If you like the videos I'm creating, please press the like and subscribe buttons, and see you in the next video tutorial.